end of October in New England, and it's time for us to harvest as much as we can from our garden. So I really don't have much left. The only three things I have left to harvest is celery, cabbage, and marigolds. So today I want to harvest celery, and I want to preserve them in two ways. I want them to make them shelf stable. So I see there's a goat behind me already trying to eat some of the leftover things in my garden, and that goat is always getting into trouble. Anyway, so let me show you how I'm gonna harvest my celery and how I'm gonna preserve it for the winter months. Because you know my motto, friends, when in abundance today, store away for tomorrow. Okay friends, so we have harvested a lot of celery and I have harvested some of the kale, and I'm going to process this all now. It's been double washed. Actually, these have been triple washed and the celery been double washed because there was quite a lot of sand, because you know how celery grows so low to the ground and actually in the ground, and I had to, you know, trim unwanted pieces. So I need to process this big pile of celery. So a couple of things that I want to mention is that I'm going to just put some in the plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to keep it in my refrigerator because they do stay in the refrigerator for, I don't know, a couple of months, really. You probably have purchased celery at the grocery store and it sits in your fridge for a while. Yes, it will sit in the fridge and be okay for a while. But I also want to store it for a little bit longer term, okay, a little bit longer term. So I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to freeze it, and the second I'm going to dehydrate, but not just dehydrate. I want to make something very, very special. So let's get going. So like I said, I washed everything and I have a lot of stuff, moving pieces here. So I'm going to like cut things up, and I think I'm gonna cut some of the celery right now, and I'm gonna put it on the cookie sheet because that's what I like to do when I freeze some of my vegetables. So I'm just gonna take my celery, make sure there's no damage, because unfortunately we did have some damage from bugs, because I don't spray my garden with any pesticide. So I am just chopping them in about quarter of an inch pieces so I can freeze them. So frozen celery is very convenient to use when cooking in soups, in stews, in casseroles, that sort of thing. But they will not be good for fresh eating anymore, because like I said, they will change its texture a little bit. And I will not blanch them because even though it might extend the shelf life, I find it to be an unnecessary step for my celery. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. Right now I'm just gonna put it on the cookie sheet just like this that I covered with some parchment paper, and I'm gonna put it in a single layer, and I'm gonna put it in the freezer overnight. 8 hours, 10 hours, and they will freeze nicely, very, very nicely. They're gonna be like little hard little squares. And after that, I can put them in a container of my choosing, okay? And then I can use them as, you know, what I need to use. So I can measure them out in a cup, in 2 cups, whatever I want it to be, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do with freezing portion, all right? And then tomorrow I will put them in my freezer bags. I have this food saver machine that very convenient for storing food because it removes all of the oxygen, and it's very, very convenient for freezing food. And that's how we freeze our meats And that's how I freeze my vegetables, okay? So this is method number 1. And then the second method, I'm going to dehydrate them. So again, they just washed, and I'm putting them, I chopped them up in tiny little squares, little chunks, and I'm going to dehydrate them, and they're going to dry up. It's going to take several hours for them to dry in a dehydrator, and every dehydrator is different. So when I put it in my dehydrator, I have to put it on a vegetable setting. And these little dried celery are very convenient because they can stay on a shelf in my pantry. I will store them in a dry sealed container, and they'll be good this year, next year. I can use them for a couple of years. And again, they beautifully rehydrate in broth if I'm making a soup, or if I'm going to be making something that's going to be cooking in a crock pot for several hours. Just grab a handful, throw it in there. It will absorb some of that liquid, and it's going to be perfect. It's very, very good. The texture does change a little bit, and the color will become a little bit more pale. At least that's what I found when I dehydrated celery. But again, it's very, very convenient for any homesteader, for any kitchen, to have that available at any time. Because let's face it, we've run out of freezer space pretty quickly, right? And again, freezer depends on electricity, and sometimes we'll lose electricity. So it's good to have something that is shelf stable as well. All right. So again, I'm going to be making several of these trays, and I'm going to put it in a dehydrator. How many hours? I really don't know, because I have to check on it, because they have to be extremely, extremely dry. And when I put it in a glass jar and I shake it, they should be hitting the wall and kind of like having that hard sound to it. Okay. So again, they should not be pliable in your hands at all. They should be completely dry, because any moisture left on a celery, and if you store them in a container with other dry celery, can bring in mold, and then everything has to be destroyed. So we gotta be careful that everything is beautifully dehydrated. Okay. And like I said, celery is very fibrous, very dense vegetable. It's going to take a while to dehydrate, so it's important to chop them up in similar shape and size and spread them out evenly on a tray. That way I know they will have a better chance drying up evenly all at the same time. So it's going to take me a little while to chop all of this, but didn't forget about all of these leaves. Remember, all of these leaves that were on our celery, I'm not throwing it away. Not throwing it away. I'm going to do something very, very special. Just hang on. And I'm going to put a good bunch, a healthy bunch in the fridge just for me to use. So I'm just going to wrap it with a paper towel to absorb any extra moisture, and I'm going to put it in a Ziploc bag, and I'm going to just put it in my fridge and use it whenever I need to, because they can be eaten fresh as well. Okay, so that was fun. So again, I'm going to freeze some, I'm going to dehydrate some, but now I want to talk to you about what I'm going to be doing with this big pile of celery leaves. And they are absolutely beautiful. They are bright green. They're wonderful. So I want to preserve them as well. And I have some just different kind of kale here as well. So I want to preserve it by chopping them up, dehydrating them, and turning them into powder. So I want to make this into a green powder. Have you guys seen those containers you can buy of super greens, they call them, or other green powder, and you put a scoop into your shake, into a smoothie, something like that, to bring in extra vitamins for your body. So as you guys probably have heard me say before, and I'm going to say it again, we were built to eat natural vitamins, not synthetic man-made vitamins that often we cannot process. It is best to eat the natural source of vitamins. So celery, just like kale, are filled with vitamins. Vitamin A, B6, vitamin C, vitamin K. They are super, super high in vitamin K. If anything, anyone who is taking blood thinners such as warfarin need to be aware that this may interfere with your warfarin. So look into eating your greens and knowing what's in them. But it is high in fiber and high in folate. Not folic acid that is man-made, but I'm talking about the natural folate. So we have a lot of vitamins and we have really good fiber as well in here. So I want to preserve it, and I want to have good natural vitamins for us to be using in the winter months when nothing else is growing in my backyard, because we're in New England, going to be covered in snow. So I want to be shelf-stable vitamins for myself and for my family. So like I said, it's already been double washed, triple washed actually, triple washed. And I'm going to just cut everything in chunks. I'm going to leave the stems on it and everything, okay? And I'm just going to cut everything in chunks, okay? How big? I don't know how big, probably about an inch, half an inch chunks, right? Just like this, with, like I said, with stems. Okay, I don't know if you can see that on the camera. And again, I'm leaving the stems. These are beautiful stems. And I have my dehydrating trays, and I'm going to put everything on the trays, just like this, okay? And I'm going to dehydrate everything until everything is completely dry, okay? And then you can put it into a blender or something like that where you can turn it into powder. And then you guys probably know that vitamins A, B, vitamin K, those vitamins are fat-soluble vitamins, which means that they are requiring fat to get absorbed. So, I know that a lot of talk there is about low-fat diets. Well, you probably have heard me talk, about that fats are not our enemy. There are good fats and there are bad fats. So it is a good idea to have good kind of fat available, okay? I like to use coconut oil. I like to use, so I'm just gonna spread it on the tray. That's probably too much piled up. I need to spread it on the next tray. Good extra virgin olive oil, something that is cold pressed. But I am gonna urge you guys, please stay away from vegetable oils, corn oils. Those are probably the worst oils to use and consume, okay? So if you see oils being purchased by fast food restaurants to deep fry their food, that is not good oil to consume, okay? So stay away from them. So so I'm gonna bring in the tray looking just like this into my dehydrator until everything comes out super dry, and then I'll show you my powder. So I just wanted to make a little note that because I chopped up all of these greens, including the stems, we need to realize, and it's my mistake that I didn't say earlier, these stems have to be dehydrated separately than the leaves, because the leaves are much finer and they will dehydrate and dry up much faster than these guys. So what I didn't say earlier is that it's important to put these guys on a tray without these big stems, and these stems to dehydrate separately because they will take a whole lot longer, okay? So something for you guys to know, because if you put them on the same tray, chances are these guys will be so dry, but the stems will not be. And if you try to store away together these stems and they're going to be just slightly moist, like wilty but not dry, the chances are you can bring in mold and other things into your storage, and it's not a good idea. Okay friends, so I've run out of space in my dehydrator, so I have still a huge big bowl to dehydrate. It's okay, it's not gonna go bad. I'm gonna put it in a cool place and I will finish dehydrating everything tomorrow. But I just want to show you what a final product looks like when I make this powder. Okay, so let me just see if I can open. I have this beautiful antique container, and it's literally a powder And it's slightly lighter in color because the vegetables were dehydrated. But it was greens that I made early in the season, and look how beautiful they are. And now you just all you need to do is take a spoonful or a scoopful, whatever you want, and you can put it into any kind of smoothie you want to make. Or even just mix it with some water, but make sure that there's some sort of fat that was consumed. A really good green smoothie is to put a scoop of this, a fresh avocado, some coconut oil, and with some water, or with some whole yogurt, whole fat yogurt, if you choose to do that. It's a little bit of drizzle of honey to make it a little sweeter, a little pinch of salt, because we always need a little salt. Don't be afraid of using salt. And I'm not talking about the table salt. I'm talking about the pink Himalayan salt. And it's gonna bring some really good vitamins and minerals into your body. So quick recap. I harvested a big pile of celery and I need to preserve it. And one way was to store it away in the fridge and use it fresh for whatever reasons, for snacking, whatever. But then the other batch, I chopped it up and I froze it to be stored in the freezer. But remember what I always say, shelf stable. So for shelf stable, I like to dehydrate it. And some of the stalks I chopped up and I'm dehydrating. It's in a dehydrator right now as I speak. But what to do with this big, beautiful pile of greens, that I like to turn into green, healthy powder, just like this. And it can go into your drinks, into your shakes, into your smoothies. It's gonna be full of vitamin A, B6, vitamin K, vitamin C, folate, fiber, potassium. It's super high in potassium, calcium, copper, and it's going to be a beautiful replacement for lack of fresh vegetables in the winter. So friends, I hope you are encouraged to store some food. Put that away, make it shelf stable. So be encouraged and try something new.